Now to the guilty verdict handed down today that'll send a Montgomery County man to prison for the rest of his life. A jury convicted Gilbert Newton III on charges that he killed his ex-girlfriend last July. The 19-year-old stabbed 18-year-old Morgan McCaffery more than 30 times.
Newton said that they had met at the Meadowbrook SEPTA train station and that he intended to kill himself. But after an argument with McCaffery, he stabbed her instead.
Gilbert Newton III remained stoic and silent after learning his fate for the murder of his ex-girlfriend, 18-year-old Morgan McCaffery.
Philadelphia is famous for many things. Its cheesesteaks, soft pretzels, and water ice. It's a lively city of over 1.5 million residents, among them countless teenagers with dreams and aspirations. One such teenager was Morgan McCaffery, a recent high school graduate whose bright smile could light up any room. Tragically, Morgan's radiant light would be extinguished by someone most never suspected. Join us as we delve into the story of Morgan McCaffery, a tale that is as heartbreaking as it is shocking, and explore the chilling details of a crime that shook an entire community. Morgan McCaffery entered the world on September 5, 2001 in Philadelphia, born to Kathy McCaffery. Raised in the far northeast, she attended Nazareth Academy High School, a prestigious all-girls Roman Catholic school. Morgan thrived in high school, effortlessly making friends and becoming a beloved figure among her peers. Described by those who knew her as self-motivated, bubbly, and genuinely fun to be around, Morgan's infectious energy and kind heart made her a joy to be with. She was not just a good person, but an exceptional friend who cherished moments with those closest to her, including her beloved pet dog. During her high school years, Morgan McCaffery met Gilbert Newton III, known as Gil. Born on January 7, 2002, to Judy and Gilbert Newton II, Gil attended the Roman Catholic High School for Boys in Philadelphia's Center City, where he was active in sports like hockey and soccer. In May 2019, Morgan and Gil started dating, just like many young couples their age. At first, their relationship was pure bliss. They enjoyed dining out together, and Morgan was a constant presence at Gil's soccer games, cheering him on with unwavering support. However, the idyllic romance began to crumble. Within a few months, a noticeable shift occurred in Gil's demeanor. Morgan and some of Gil's closest friends observed a troubling change. Gil seemed increasingly agitated, far removed from the charming young man Morgan had fallen for. What had once been a promising love story now teetered on the edge of a dark and unpredictable path, hinting at the unsettling events that would soon unfold. Some of the simplest things would suddenly cause Gil to freak out. For example, if he texted Morgan and she didn't respond fast enough, he started getting upset and accusing her of talking to other guys. Morgan tried to brush these things off to the side, assuming Gil was just in a bad mood. Unfortunately, his bad attitude only got worse with time, and he began calling Morgan mean names to hurt her feelings and belittle her in an attempt to damage her self-esteem. Morgan confided in her friends about the troubles in her relationship, sharing the hurtful things Gil said to her. Shocked and concerned, her friends urged her to break free from the toxicity he brought into her life. Despite their pleas, Morgan, known for her compassionate nature, often found herself making excuses for Gil's behavior. "People say things they don't mean all the time," she'd rationalize, determined to salvage what they once had. But behind closed doors, Gil's behavior grew increasingly erratic, casting a shadow of fear and uncertainty over their once promising relationship. As Morgan struggled to hold on to love, the tension between them reached a breaking point, setting the stage for a tragic turn of events. Whenever Morgan extended invitations to Gil to join her at her family gatherings or hang out with her friends, she couldn't help but notice a chilling transformation in his demeanor. His body language shifted, becoming closed off and distant, showing little interest in engaging with anyone besides her. It was as if Gil wanted Morgan all to himself, and if they found themselves in the company of others, her friends and family included, he made no effort to connect or socialize. This behavior deeply troubled Morgan, causing frequent arguments between them. She yearned for a partner who could blend seamlessly into her social circle and share in her joyous moments. Instead, the tension between them simmered, with each confrontation revealing a darker side to Gil's possessiveness and growing isolation. As their relationship strained under the weight of unresolved conflict, Morgan faced a daunting choice: to confront the escalating toxicity or risk losing herself in the turmoil Gil wrought upon their once promising love. It got to the point where Gil began making threats to Morgan, telling her that he would cause bodily harm to her if she didn't listen to him or stop arguing with him. When Morgan's friends learned about this, they were distraught and insisted she leave him behind. They said his behavior wasn't normal, but Morgan couldn't break things off. She wanted to give him another chance to improve their relationship. Unfortunately, Gil's attempts to change were merely a facade, a fleeting illusion to convince Morgan and those around them that he was capable of reform. For a brief period, he seemed to be making an effort to shed the toxic behaviors that plagued their relationship, no longer hurling insults or attempting to control her every move. But these moments of apparent improvement were short-lived. Soon enough, Gil reverted to his old ways with a vengeance, unleashing a torrent of verbal abuse aimed at breaking down Morgan's spirit. The insults cut deeper, the manipulation grew more insidious, until the toxicity spilled over into physical violence. The first time he laid hands on her, the line was crossed irreversibly. Gil's actions inflicted real physical harm on Morgan, marking a terrifying escalation that shattered any hope of salvaging their once hopeful romance. As Morgan grappled with the devastating realization of what her relationship had become, she faced a stark choice between confronting the escalating danger or succumbing to the cycle of abuse that threatened to consume her completely. Realizing the relationship had become far too toxic, Morgan decided it was time to call it quits. On July 19, 2020, Morgan let Gilbert know that she wanted to end their relationship. Gilbert refused to accept the breakup. He began texting her different things, including one message in which he told her that he's not her pet, and that she had him so angry that he wanted to cause harm to her right then and there. He also wished she would die and told her to keep her head on a swivel. Things took a darker turn from here. It's believed that Morgan kept Gilbert's threatening text to himself, perhaps dismissing it as mere frustration. Little did she know, Gil's simmering anger was far from extinguished. In a chilling message sent to his mother on July 4th at 4 a.m, Gil revealed his vengeful intentions towards Morgan. He ominously stated, "If she doesn't come back to me, mark my words, I'm going to do everything in my power to ruin her life." The gravity of Gil's words sent a shiver down the spine. His fixation on retribution was a stark warning of the danger he posed, escalating the situation from emotional manipulation to a terrifying potential for real harm. As the threat loomed larger, Morgan unwittingly found herself on a collision course with a partner whose obsession threatened to eclipse any semblance of reason or restraint. And these weren't the only texts he was sending. Gil continued to text his mom about the situation, complaining that he didn't want his mom talking to his dad about Morgan or their relationship. He also mentioned that he believed Morgan was done for real and couldn't believe it. Gil requested that his mom text Morgan for him to find out if the relationship was truly over for good, to which his mother replied that she would text Morgan. But if Morgan says it's over, he needs to move on. On July 6, 2020, Gilbert's conversations with his mother about Morgan took a chilling turn. He instructed his mother on what to say to Morgan, venting about her attitude and expressing a desire to unalive her. In a disturbing exchange, Gil's mother responded with concern, noting his increasing aggression with a simple, "See, now you're already getting aggressive." Despite Gil's alarming admission of wanting to harm his ex-girlfriend, specifically mentioning stabbing her 57 times, his mother, Judy, tragically failed to take decisive action. It was a stark indication of a troubled young man in the throes of a mental breakdown, crying out for help that went unanswered. As the ominous messages continued, the stage was set for a heartbreaking tragedy that would forever alter the lives of so many. 2 days later, Morgan texted Gilbert to let him know she wanted to return his belongings. Gilbert wanted to see Morgan again, so he agreed to get his stuff from her. They agreed that Morgan would drop the stuff off at Gil's house on July 13th, which she did. Around this time, however, Morgan also began seeing someone else. While it was a new relationship, Morgan was excited to have a fresh start and enjoyed the company of this young man. A week or so after dropping off Gil's belongings at his home on July 26, 2020, Gilbert discovered that Morgan was seeing some other guy, and he wasn't happy about it. He was furious enough to send his mom a photo of the new couple. A minute later, he sent a message to Morgan and asked her if they could meet up in person, to which she said, whenever he wanted to. Gilbert used this initial conversation starter to dig deeper into Morgan's life because his next question had nothing to do with meeting up. Instead, he asked her if she wanted to get back together with him before asking her about the new guy she was seeing. He even went as far as to ask her if she'd been physically intimate with her new partner, to which she told Gil that it was none of his business. They continued to text back and forth for a few minutes. Gil asked if she still loved and cared for him. Morgan said she'd always love him, but didn't think a relationship between the two would ever work, not only because of him, but also because of his meddling mother, who apparently got herself involved in their relationship problems. Morgan said she was so tired of him telling his mother everything and always getting her involved that she had disrespected Morgan at some point. Gil didn't want to hear this, so he continuously begged Morgan to meet up with him, promising to act right and behave during their meeting. Morgan eventually obliged, not knowing that meeting up with him would be the worst decision she'd ever make. Gilbert Netwin III was prepared to meet up with Morgan the following day. Before heading out the door, he went into the kitchen, grabbed 2 knives, and then got into his car to meet up with Morgan at a train station in Abington, PA, not far from Philadelphia. The two exchanged a few texts before the meeting, with Morgan telling Gil that he had a few minutes to get there before she was planning on leaving because she'd already been waiting for him for some time. When Gil arrived, the tension in the air was palpable. He stepped out of his car and approached Morgan's vehicle, his demeanor tense and ominous. Inside, Morgan held a bag of Gil's belongings she intended to return. As she exited the driver's seat and opened the back door, Gil's actions took a sinister turn. He retrieved knives from his side, laying them beside him, and began probing Morgan about her new boyfriend. The glint of steel and the intensity of Gil's questions filled the car with an uncomfortable atmosphere. Each moment seemed to stretch with dread as Morgan grappled with the mounting unease of the situation unfolding before her. The knives, now ominously present, served as a chilling reminder of the escalating danger she found herself trapped in. According to Gil, the confrontation escalated when he demanded to know if Morgan was seeing someone else. Her confirmation sent him into a blinding rage. Desperate for answers, he questioned why their plans of being together forever had unraveled and reminded her of their intimate history, emphasizing that they were each other's firsts. Morgan, according to Gil, however, laughed in his face, taunting him by revealing he wasn't her first and certainly wouldn't be her last. This humiliation ignited a fury in Gil that boiled over, leading him to lash out and call her names. Gilbert's fury reached a boiling point when he called Morgan names. In response, she slapped him, igniting a violent and tragic chain of events. Enraged and consumed by his anger, Gilbert claims he began stabbing her repeatedly. When the horrifying reality set in that Morgan was no longer alive, he took her phone and, in a moment of twisted remorse, dialed her mother. Overwhelmed, he hung up before heading to a friend's house. By 8:51 p.m., the gravity of his actions sunk in, and he sent a chilling text to his mother, Judy, confessing that he had unalived Morgan. The night spiraled into a nightmare that would forever haunt everyone involved. Back at the scene, a local passerby witnessed the crime and rushed to check on Morgan. Seeing she wasn't breathing, he flagged down a train station worker, who immediately contacted the police. Tragically, by the time they arrived, Morgan had lost an astronomical amount of blood and no longer had a pulse. Meanwhile, Gilbert Newton III returned home, covered in blood. His mother, alarmed by his bizarre behavior, called the police. When authorities arrived, Gil confessed to ending his ex-girlfriend's life at the train station. That same day, Gilbert was arrested and charged with murder. In September 2021, he was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. While his parents still get to visit him, hug him, and have conversations with him, Morgan's family and friends are left with only memories of a loving, compassionate girl with big dreams and a bright future. The stark contrast highlights the devastating impact of Gil's actions, leaving a community to mourn a vibrant life cut tragically short.